We have a great life because of the men and women like him who put other things first before themselves. They put their nation, their family, God before them, right? They are willing to make those sacrifices and love more than you can imagine. Hey everyone, I'm in New York City. Yes, the Big Apple. Everything is happening right here. All the things we want to happen and all the things we don't want to happen right here in New York City. And as we're coming up to Veterans Day, I was thinking about New York City, you know, all those old, beautiful photos during World War II, the veteran, you know, or back then the sailor, right? Kissing the beautiful girl in the middle of Times Square, that iconic picture, the Veterans Day celebrations that have happened here as well, you know, throughout the years, and just the veterans that I'm seeing on the streets, and my amazing veteran who is at home right now with my daughter, with our daughter and our kids, and just holding down the fort at home. And I can't help but think about all of the people in my life, all of those men and women, you know, who served our country or fought in great wars. I mean, I just feel lucky to even be alive, like lucky to even just be here. Anything could have happened, right? But also the fact that they, especially my grandfathers, my great grandfathers who fought for this nation, who truly were willing to give everything, and my husband and my father. And by the way, my brother, who is in the military, both my brothers, Air Force and the Army, who were willing to give everything for their country if they were ever called to do so. So we are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about also last night's debate. Holy smokes, you know? I mean, I was going in between the debate and Trump's speech because I was like a back and forth person. And then when I caught a couple of things at the debate, I was just like floored. I have to play a couple of clips for you because I'm sure some of you already saw it. Maybe you already saw it on Twitter. I don't know. But I know that you probably, like me, were either like, oh, yeah, wow, I can't believe you said that. That's awesome. And then I just want to kind of hash that out and break it down for you. A moment with Nikki Haley, a moment with Vivek Ramaswamy. And then at the end, what was going on there is Ron Desantis was leaving the stage. And then you could see him throwing his hands up in the air where they were calling for Trump out in the audience, some people that were there. So we'll cover that. I want to tell you what I'm thinking at the moment. I want to share those thoughts on Veterans Day that's coming up this weekend. And it is a special holiday. And I want to share with you what I hear from my husband and from his friends about those of us who aren't veterans, how it makes them feel when you just take a moment to say thank you and acknowledge their service to the country. But first, Allegiance Gold. I want to thank Allegiance Gold for allowing me to bring you these amazing podcasts and great guests. I could not do it without Allegiance Gold. And by the way, we cannot do it without Allegiance Gold in this time of market volatility. Imagine a future where your retirement is protected from the storms of that crazy market that we're seeing right now, right? The erosive forces of inflation, recession, government meddling, and economic uncertainties. Imagine retiring with peace of mind and the freedom to pursue your own dreams. That future, my dear friends, can be a reality for you, courtesy of Allegiance Gold. Get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you visit Protect with Sara. That is protectwithsara.com today. That's it. Protectwithsara.com today. Gold has stood the test of time. It's a safe haven investment. You just can't beat it. And right now, as a Sara Carter listener, you can get up to $5,000. Listen to this, a free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that I sent you. So go visit protectwithsara.com today or give them a call at 877-702-SARA, S-A-R-A. Don't wait. Take control of your retirement today. Call 877-702-SARA and speak with one of their experts. They'll answer all your questions and help you get started on the path to a more secure and prosperous retirement. Time is of the essence. Protect your future with Allegiance Gold. Visit protectwithsara.com. That's protectwithsara.com. Okay. Last night was the third Republican debate. It was hosted by NBC. No, it was not hosted by Tucker Carlson, as Vivek Ramaswamy so brilliantly called out. It was a very bizarre night. I'm having a very difficult time, like many Americans right now, with what is happening internally in the Republican Party. I feel it is very divisive. I feel that we're not finding ways to connect, obviously, with one another on same goals and commonality for our nation. I feel as though our leadership is failing us in that area across the board. And I also believe that there's people in Washington, D.C. that just, no matter what, do not want to hear what the majority of American conservatives have to say. They just don't want to hear it. They hate Trump or they love Trump, and they just don't care about anything in the middle, and it's all about them. And it is so frustrating. And I could use a lot of choice words for this. I heard a couple of them this morning from some people that I care deeply about, but I'm not going to, because this is a family-friendly show for the most part. But there was one fiery moment. It was when Vivek Ramaswamy was calling out Ronna McDaniel and the entire Republican establishment for losing elections and using NBC. He's like talking right at them. And there was this really brilliant part that I can't wait for you to hear this, to host the Republican national debate. I want you to hear this and tell me what you think on the flip side.
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. Since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made-up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Ross.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability.
That's so great. That was so great. I don't always agree with Vivek Ramaswamy. I've had my moments calling him out on things that I just don't agree with him on, but it's like smaller policy issues and things of that nature. But that moment was just brilliant. It was amazing. And he's right. The Republican Party is not winning. And there is a fracture inside the Republican Party like we have never seen. And I'm telling you, this is it. There is the old establishment that is desperately trying to hold on to that. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But they're living in ancient days because we are up against a formidable enemy. One that has taken the foundation of our nation, basically has taken the Constitution, and by the way, has torn it to shreds. They've torn it to shreds. We've been losing ever since 2016. And there are a lot of Republicans out there that want to put the blame all on Trump. Wrong. It's on this party because the party is not waking up. There are some people in the party that are waking up and they're like, something is very wrong here. Something smells. Something is wrong. And we've got to find out what that is. And we've got to take the trash out and fix our country. I want to play this clip before I go on to Veterans Day. I want to talk about it just really quickly because there was a lot of debate back and forth on my Twitter handle about this. That's my X handle now. Everybody does that. It's a slip up. Sorry, Elon, but it's XXX. It was regarding, Nikki Haley and Vivek calling out Nikki Haley's daughter, who is older, an adult. But I want you to take a listen to this.
I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which was about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my
before
daughter
preaching
out
to
of your
anybody else's
voice.
adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy
scum.
answer is actually to say that we're just going to ban one app. We got to go further. We have to ban any U.S. company actually transferring U.S. data to the Chinese.
Her point, though, is valid. He went after her daughter. I'm sorry, Vivek, this is one of those points because she called him out on using TikTok, which is an app that, of course, I'm very concerned with. I don't use it. One time, my little daughter tried to download it on my phone because she was so excited about all of the cool things that TikTok did. I was like, no, we're not doing it. In fact, it was Dan Schneider, thank you, who called her out on it. He didn't mean to. Sorry, Annalise. But he saw her on TikTok and knows how I feel about that. I think, Vivek should have just debated her on the merits. Look, the merits of her argument are right. We should not, and by the way, we should do a whole episode on the expansion of China in these telecommunications as well as social media platforms and what's going on there. I have so much information for you on that. And I will do that in the future. But I think we need to leave the kids. That's just my opinion. Even if they're older kids, unless it's totally relevant, unless they're like Hunter Biden and they're actually taking money from China. But maybe then that would open up. See, then that made me think. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's open for a discussion. Maybe you can bring things in. But he did say she used to use it. So that makes me wonder if Nikki's daughter is still using it. And either way, I think he should have just left it on its merits, debated her on the merits right then and there. And that would have been all well and good. But everybody has their own opinion. I heard from all of you. Some of you said, if you're an adult, it's open season. It's open season. So maybe it is, right? Maybe it is. Ron Desantis, he was pretty upset about what happened at the end of that debate when he got Trump chants. That is, that's something that he's just going to have to deal with. I mean, look, there are a lot of Americans right now, and we're going to go right into the veterans in a minute, but there are a lot of Americans who feel as though their lawmakers have failed them. There are many Americans, many more Americans, by the way, that believe President Trump is going to be the right man for the job come 2024. Now, that may not sit well with our pundits and with other lawmakers, but that's the American people. And the American people are speaking out. We cannot control this tide. But as Republicans, we should be unified because what's happening right now in the executive branch and who's in office is detrimental to our nation if we let it happen. Human super beats. Folks, we all have a heartfelt reason to support our blood pressure. In fact, more than half of the U.S. population would benefit from blood pressure support. I know I do, right? I know I do. So I carry my human super beats with me. I take my human super beats when I'm on the road. I already took my last 2 this morning. I'm heading home tomorrow morning. Otherwise, I would show them to you. But I keep them in my pocket and I take them just before I get my coffee. So I feel great. I feel energized. I feel like I can do anything, right? And I also feel like I'm supporting my heart. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the antioxidants in Super Beets are clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. And like I said, I'm in New York City. I love having my Super Beets with me. They taste great. I put them in my pocket. I take them in the morning on my walk to go get my coffee. I just showed you that. And I feel wonderful. I mean, I feel energized. I don't have a crash. I know that I'm helping my heart. And by the way, supporting healthy blood pressure comes with a bonus. Listen to this. Super Beets Heart Chews supports healthy circulation. So you not only get blood pressure support, you also get productive heart healthy energy without the crash. Like I said, double your potential with Super Beet Hard Chews. Get a free 30-day supply of Super Beet Hard Chews and 15% off your first order by going to getsuperbeets.com and use promo code Sara, S-A-R-A. That's getsuperbeets.com, promo code Sara. First, let me thank all of the veterans who are listening to this podcast. I just want to tell you how special you are to me and how much you mean to me. From my closest friends like Gary Brugman, shout out, Coast Guard, Nasty out there in Montana, big shout out to you, who served with my husband, Mark Stevens, Brian Hoke, who's in heaven, but was an amazing veteran and lived his life like a true American, still continuing to fight for this country even after he retired from the military. And especially to Marty, my husband, who has been such an amazing father and has taught his children, our children, so much about what it truly means to believe in something enough that you are willing to fight for it with all your heart and soul, and to not be afraid to take on those challenges, to stand up against like the worst adversity, coming close to death, losing your eyesight, and standing up to it bravely and looking it down in the face and saying, you know what? You don't have me. I have a great life. You can't take that away from me. And he has a great life, and we have a great life because of the men and women like him who put other things first before themselves. They put their nation, their family, God before them, right? They are willing to make those sacrifices and love more than you can imagine. I remember being on the battlefield in Afghanistan, and Marty will say, "Oh my gosh, she just took so many risks." I never thought so. I always thought I was mitigating those risks, but I did believe that it was important as a journalist covering the battles in Afghanistan and in Iraq to be with our troops and to be with the troops on the front lines to get their full story. A lot of journalists did believe that as well. There were journalists there from even our mainstream media that did phenomenal work, beyond phenomenal. The Washington Post and New York Times, and, Lara Logan was out there on the front lines with CBS. And there were so many, Reuters, AP, it was the same group of people, a lot of us, many of them lost their lives. Tom Bowman from NPR. I remember seeing him out there all the time. He's doing great, but James Cantley lost his life, or we've never found him again after he was taken by ISIS. But there were so many people willing to sacrifice so much. And I'm going to tell you why. Right? Why are you talking about these reporters? Well, it was those reporters too that were on the front lines with the veterans and with our troops, telling those stories bringing those stories home so that people back home could make the right decisions, right, about the war, so that they would know the truth, so that their lives were not in vain, so that they would live forever in these stories, so that we would be able to expose what was happening, whether that was an advance on, an advancement in the war, or whether we were falling apart in some areas like Arghandab Valley. But I would be on the front lines, and, many times, of course, our soldiers would lose their lives in those faraway lands, never to see their own families again or their homeland. I remember standing in Bagram airfield and standing there with all the soldiers, as we watched and as they saluted the coffins going on board the C-130s on the planes being flown back home, draped in our American flag. So, yeah, it breaks my heart when I see people disrespecting the flag or, stepping on it or treating it in a horrific way. But guess what? Our troops were over there fighting for that very freedom, for the freedom for people to say, even if we don't like it, what they want to say, as long as it doesn't incite violence or harm someone else. Those very reasons. And when I see elderly veterans on the street with their hats on and their pins in their hats, or they served on the USS this or on, or they were in the Marine Corps, I always make a point of going up to them and saying, thank you so much for your service. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it brings a smile to their face. I've never had one veteran or their families say, could you just leave me alone? I don't want to hear that. I've never had that happen. And in fact, I wish more people would do that. Life is too short. We are so blessed. And it makes me happy when people say it to my husband. It makes me so happy because he can't see what's going on around him. But if somebody just takes the moment and looks at a shirt he's wearing, or, if it's a Wounded Warrior shirt, or if he has his hat on or something, or if they just notice that he's blind, he just looks like a military guy. And he's walking with his dog and they say, oh, well, how'd you get wounded? Or how did you get blind? And he says, oh, the war. And they say, thank you for your service. I can't tell you how much that means to me. I mean, it has made me cry sometimes. It literally has made me cry. We've gone to restaurants before where, I know Marty's listening to this right now, but where we have sat down to have dinner and out of nowhere, somebody buys us our dinner, or they send us a drink, or they come over and they say, thank you. That is really, really the greatest thing that any other American can do for a veteran, is just say, thank you. My great-grandfather fought in World War I on my dad's side. I never had a chance to meet William, my grandfather William. He was in the Rainbow Brigade in Europe. And when I'd go over to my grandmother's house in Alabama, sometimes I'd see his helmet, and his helmet had a map painted on the inside of everywhere that Rainbow Brigade went in Europe. Everywhere. I wish I knew where that helmet went, maybe to one of my uncles or my cousins or something. But I remember just being so in awe of it, so in awe of that helmet. And then I looked back and I was doing some research on Ancestry.com, and I saw that we go back as far as pre-revolution, back to the Isle of Skye in Scotland. We were Highlanders on my dad's side of the family. How cool is that? Now I can really act like I'm a Highlander. My husband is like, oh God, please don't say you're a Highlander. I go, well, look, I'm coming from islands in Scotland and an island in Cuba. I don't know what that means, but I'm an islander, maybe a Highlander. But it was funny because I look back and I think to myself, like, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but I look at my history and I'm just like, wow, I'm lucky to be here. I mean, my grandfather fought in a fierce battle on the European front. I mean, they used mustard gas. It was one of the worst horrific wars that we could imagine in history. And then came World War II, and my father fought in World War II. My father fought in the South Pacific. He was an airman for the Marine Corps. And then, of course, my brother and my brothers were the in-betweens. So they served in the military. One brother in the Air Force, the other brother in the Army. And then my husband, who served, oh my gosh, nearly 40 years in almost every war you can imagine. Afghanistan, Iraq, Bosnia, Herzegovina. I mean, I could go on and on and on. All the different places he served his nation. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that if you sit down and think about it, it should leave you in awe that even our nation exists is a miracle in and of itself, that we are those miracles, and that we should not be so easily swayed by those who want to see the end of this great nation. That we should be willing to stand up in our own country and find a way to fight back, not using arms, not fighting with, bloodshed and protests and all of this anger and hatred, but at the ballot box, and be unified in honor of our veterans, in honor of those who are still here with us today, who would have given everything. Some of their friends did, but who sacrificed so much of their lives and so much of their time away from families and so much of their souls to give us the country that we have today. Just take a moment to say thank you. Take a moment to say, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you've done for our country. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. I love you all. Please make sure you're subscribed to the Sara Carter Show here on your favorite podcast app. It really helps us. Follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on X at Sara Carter DC, where we can debate, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our nation. Pray for peace in the Middle East, and God bless the great state of Texas and New York City too.